Welcome, everyone, to Colorado LTAP Tuesday Tailgate Talk. Summer is here, which means we have to maintain our growing vegetation. This is the vegetation next to the roads, near intersections, and even those back yonder gravel roads. So, you ask, why do we need to maintain the vegetation? Here are some answers to that question. We need to maintain the roadside vegetation to provide a safe recovery area for vehicles, to reduce fuel for wildfires, reduce snow drifting, prevent erosion, and to reduce wildlife collisions. So, let's look into this further. First thing we need to understand is the clear zone. The clear zone is defined as a total roadside border area starting at the edge of the traveled way available for safe use by errant vehicles for a sufficient distance to allow a driver to stop or return to the road before encountering a hazard or overturning. The width of a clear zone is determined by volume of traffic, road design speed, among other factors. So what does this mean? Everywhere there is a road, there is a clear zone. In the cities, there are smaller clear zones due to the space of sidewalks, buildings, and traffic. In the country, the clear zone could be larger. In the mountains, it could be large or small depending on the slopes. Clear zones help with the line of sight and animal crossings. Time to get to work. So, what do we do? Let's start at the beginning. Usually, vegetation control means mowers or equipment of some sort. This is where we inspect all of our equipment. If you have a tractor with a mowing deck, a riding lawn mower, or even a push mower, safety is still your priority. Ensure that you are wearing ear protection since the decibel level is anywhere from 90 to 100 decibels. We should also have our gloves for those times we need to pick up something or work on our unit. We have all seen mowers going down the road mowing when they hit something and it launches that object into the air or across the road. We should check our mowers to ensure all guards, drag shields, and discharge deflectors are in place. Remember, if a chute becomes plugged, turn off the unit to unplug the chute for the smaller units. If you have a tractor and a mowing deck, ensure that the mower is off before inspecting. Once the mower deck is off, be cautious about cleaning out any debris. If the debris is wedged tight enough and you pull it out, the blades could continue in its pattern and you could get hurt by losing a finger, hand, or arm. If you happen to get baling twine, rope, a strap, or even fencing caught in blades, be cautious while removing. While it might be easier to pull on it, it may cause the blades to turn, causing injury to you. So now we're going to drive to our work site. It's been found that driving at high speeds in tractors have resulted in accidents. And with high speeds, it's easier for tractors to overturn. It is safer to drive slower to avoid a rollover or other accidents. Remember that a mowing attachment does not have its own brakes. If you're going to go fast in the tractor and are turning, you run the risk of the mower attachment jackknifing, causing a loss of control and a possible rollover. Remember safety on the slopes. Due to the weight distribution of tractors and mowing attachments, there is a risk of rollovers when mowing. If you are going uphill, engage the clutch slowly. If you pop the clutch, the front end may lift, causing the tractor to lose control and to possibly roll. These units have a higher center of gravity and they are top heavy. If the tractor does start to tip on a slope, Steer the tires down the hill, but never up the hill. Also, while going downhill, ensure that you stay in gear so the engine can do the braking. If you are mowing with a riding lawnmower, remember, do not mow slopes when they're wet. You will slide. Also, with a riding lawnmower, ensure that the slope is not too steep. Vegetation control crashes can be the worst, or they can be deadly. Traffic control is important to prevent these types of accidents. Severe accidents such as these can cost time, money, but most importantly, you. When cutting brush and tree branches which have caused sight and clearance problems, there are several hazards to deal with. They include moving traffic, hidden objects, unstable footing, poison ivy and oak, thorns, tools with sharp edges, chainsaws, chippers, and difficult access to the work area. Remember to review safe operating procedures for chippers, chainsaws, and stump grinders. PPE is necessary when using equipment on the work site, such as gloves, chaps, hard hats, hearing protection, and safety vests. Always attempt to park vehicles and equipment in an area that's suitable for safe entering and exiting. Injuries have been reported when workers have been struck by tools, falling branches, and tree trunks. When cutting large branches or tree trunks, relay that information to the crew. If we warn our fellow workers, we can prevent injuries. There should be at least two people when cutting down a tree, one to do the work and the other is the spotter. That spotter should be looking for electrical lines, fences, nearby buildings, and of course, people. Make sure the spotter is watching the path that the tree could take coming down and to ensure they have a clear path to run out of the way if needed. If you are using a pruner, make sure it is sharp at all times. Avoid cutting too large of a branch. Cutting too large of a branch will cause strain or damage to the tool and muscle strain to the user. When using a chipper, ensure that you push the branch or brush butt end first. Don't force materials or attempt to hand feed small pieces. If it doesn't feed, use another branch to push into the chipper. Do not wear loose clothing while operating a chipper. The loose material can catch on brush that's going through the chipper and pull you in. Another thing to look for while cutting brush or trees is wildlife such as birds. Birds tend to nest anywhere they can. We need to worry about the nests in the trees or on the ground. According to the Department of Wildlife, you should not cut or trim trees unless it is an emergency or a line of sight issue from April to September. This small window of time is usually a nursery for different residents. If you have an emergency situation, check the area before cutting or trimming. If while you are cutting you find a nest, stop immediately and come back later if possible. If it's not, contact Department of Wildlife to see if they can relocate the nest. Just remember, all native birds, their chicks, eggs, and nests are protected by a federal law called the Federal Migratory Bird Treaty Act. Birds are also protected by Colorado state laws. Another thing to be cautious of when performing vegetation control is the wildlife. Most wildlife will run away when confronted by humans or equipment, but if they are sick, hurt, or cornered, then this becomes a problem. Here in Colorado, we have a lot of wildlife to worry about. Along with birds, we have coyotes, foxes, and skunks that will crawl into culverts for protection. Remember, these creatures can carry fleas, rabies, distemper, or even the plague. If you come into contact, you could take these items back home to your family or even your pets. In Colorado, we also have several snakes to watch for, 25 species to be exact, but it is the rattlesnake is the only venomous snake in the state. The rattlesnake can be sneaky and usually will just hide. Once the rattlesnake has determined to make a stand, usually they will rattle and coil up in a strike pose. One bite from the rattler and a hospital visit, your day will be ruined. Rattlesnake venom is hemotoxic and results in the destruction of muscle and soft tissue around the site of the bite. The rattlesnake bite will need to have antivenom. If you are in a small community, they may or may not have it, which could lead you to an ambulance ride. Always be careful walking through tall grasses and looking around for creatures. If it is snake season, carry a walking stick or shovel to help you walk through the grass. People rarely get more than a brief glimpse of a mountain lion in the wild. Lion attacks on people are rare, with fewer than a dozen fatalities in North America in more than 100 years. Most of the attacks were by young lions, perhaps forced out to hunt on their own and not yet living in established areas. Young lions may key in on easy prey, like pets and small children. If the lion behaves aggressively, throw stones or branches or whatever you can get your hands on without crouching or turning your back. What you want to do is convince the lion you are not prey and that you may in fact be a danger to the lion. Chiggers, ticks, and spiders, oh my. Anyone that has been to a national park, by a river, or gone hiking has faced the issues of ticks and chiggers. Just remember, if you are walking through high grass, be prepared before entering with bug spray that has DEET. DEET is used as the active ingredient in many insect repellents. DEET is designed to repel insects, not to kill. In the last couple of years, there has been some issues with DEET being on your clothes and you going home with your pets licking or rubbing up against you. So be careful with any chemicals that your pets or children can come into contact with. Ensure that you are wearing long sleeves and pants to reduce your risk of ticks. Another issue to worry about is spiders. Some spiders like to live among the grass. Brown recluse, black widow, and in some parts of the state, tarantulas. Tarantulas do possess venom, but most injuries are due to their hair. The black widow bite is 15 times more painful, and brown recluse have venom that will cause tissue damage. Larger animals in Colorado can also pose a problem. Usually, most larger animals will leave people alone or run away the closer we get. One thing to remember is during rutting season or birthing season, the larger animals will get aggressive. Moose and elk are usually okay until you get too close. Better to steer clear of those two. The black bear can be cranky after winter and if there are cubs around. Best to avoid, but Department of Wildlife should be notified of the bear if in neighborhoods or close to neighborhoods. The wolf is making a comeback, so this is new in some areas. The wolf is known to leave us humans alone, but sometimes due to sickness, the wolf may try to approach or become aggressive. Before any vegetation control, most crews will go out and clean the area before the job starts. Be cautious of what debris you are picking up. Human trash can have diseases or drug paraphernalia. If any drug paraphernalia is found, follow your company protocol to ensure that there is no danger of getting hurt. Look out for plastic bags containing human waste, drug paraphernalia, or even dead animals. If you see anything that looks like a meth bag and do not have the proper training, call your local police department to report it. Within the last several years, soda bottles can contain human waste or components to meth labs. If you find an old propane bottle and it looks like it's been tampered with, leave it alone and contact your local police department. Meth labs will use the propane bottles after some changes and then throw it out for us maintenance to find and deal with. As always, be cautious and alert on what is being picked up. Some places have the grabbers to pick up trash, which is one way to keep safe. The use of gas-powered weed whackers or string trimmers are used to clean everything up after mowing. Make sure you wear the appropriate PPE to ensure that you are not cut or hit by flying debris. Ensure before you use the equipment that you have checked it over and know how to use it. Before any type of trimming, walk the area to ensure there is no debris. Ensure that there is no one around while trimming. Ensure that you are using the right fuel and additive to keep your equipment in good working condition. While trimming, ensure that you have good solid footing, stand upright, and do not crouch or lean over. This could lead to strain or back injuries. Some areas have the ability to weed spray. The DOT in Colorado has certain people that are licensed to spray. They are usually monitored by Department of Agriculture for all paperwork. These chemicals that they use and that they are spraying are extremely dangerous and should be handled with extreme caution. Ensure that you check your company's policies on weed spraying before you set out. Cleaning around corners or guardrails helps line of sight and continues the clear zone. Weed whip around guardrails to ensure the rail is visible. It's easier to make repairs to a guardrail when native plants are cut short and out of the way. Another part of vegetation control is washouts. Some washouts can start in the winter and with spring will grow over with vegetation and become concealed. When you're running your mower or walking the area for cleanup and you don't see the washout, you could cause damage to the equipment or hurt yourself. Some washouts can easily be missed when vegetation is covering them up. Another area to be concerned about is culverts. As you see in the picture, the operator was running the equipment and had not walked or inspected the area. Under the long brush and weeds was a head wall to a culvert. Luckily, he didn't roll it and actually stopped once he felt the wheel come off the head wall. If the culvert had been marked, he would have known to pull away. Remember, if your culverts are covered with long grass or debris and you don't know, it could cause damage to the equipment, yourself, or even a motorist. There are times when mowing, weed whacking, or looking for trash, you can find a culvert end and notice it's been damaged previously. This can become a hazard quickly if not repaired or marked immediately. Why is vegetation control important for the winter time? There are some weeds and grasses that seed in September for the following spring. There are also weeds that continue to grow even after everything else has gone into hibernation. If the weeds are not cut down or controlled, they can cause issues with moisture retention, which around guardrails, concrete, or asphalt could lead to corrosion. If you have brushes or trees causing sight issues, in the wintertime they will cover the road or sidewalk with a shadow and cause ice from the shade. If your shoulders are correctly sloped Any melting snow or ice should drain off the roadway. If your shoulders are not correctly graded, the water tends to sit on the road, causing icy spots. The other issue with water and ice on the road is with Colorado's freeze thaw conditions, it could cause damage to your roadways, bridges, and sidewalks. We all know in the fall everything tends to die or go into hibernation. Once this happens, everything becomes extremely flammable. By controlling your vegetation in the fall, you may be able to prevent wildfires. Even if the controlled vegetation catches fire, it could burn out sooner and not spread. So, in review, for vegetation control, there are so many things to be aware of or looking for. Remember to always wear the proper PPE, understand how to run the equipment, ensure the safety of the crew, protect the wildlife, follow your company's policies, and protect the road user. Everyone comes to Colorado to enjoy what our state has to offer, and you, the maintenance personnel, are one of the reasons the state is as beautiful as it is. Thank you for joining us for the Tuesday Tailgate Talk. See you next time.